The 42nd African Concours d'Elegance, organized by the Alfa Romeo Owners Club, has arrived in style. And this year, it's spotting a new sponsor in the guise of the Commercial Bank of Africa, who are celebrating their Golden Jubilee.
The Concours represents passion, and we also, as CBA, believe in being passionate about what we do. And so it was a very easy match for us to come onto the bandwagon and support this great event.
I think it's an atmosphere, it's a day out, isn't it? It's a chance just to bring the car out into the forefront, so to speak, and share it with others. Always enthusiasts here. You see many friends come to this gathering too, which is nice. And it's a change, isn't it? It's a sort of social scene, really, and I think that's what I enjoy about it very much, actually.
A lot of people come here for seeing old cars and just enjoying the day, and I think it's great fun.
It's the glory. I mean, you get something, it's a heap of rust, it's a bolts and nuts, you build it, and it comes to life, I mean, after such a long time. And then if it does win, you're on the podium there, that trophy in front of everybody is the ultimate. I mean,
how does that feel?
Oh, I tell you, it's nothing like it.
For the cars, there are 14 different classes, ranging from vintage to utility and rally to station wagons. The bikes have 8 different classes, ranging from street motorcycles to racing and trial bikes. A special allowance is made for age based on a sliding scale. There are prizes for first, second, and third in each class, but the most coveted awards are those of the overall winners of the concours. These go to the vehicle and motorcycle with the most points. As the countdown to the competition begins, there's a frenzied atmosphere in the holding paddocks as the competitors go about their last-minute touch-ups to ensure that their cars or motorcycles are pristine before being presented to the judges. This sparkling 1983 VW Beetle was found in a miserable state at a junkyard by Walter Serem. It was completely stripped down and rebuilt and stands today as a shining example of what the Concours is all about.
There are 2 types of competitors here. One is the competitor who takes pure enjoyment out of the car preparation, and then their cars become immaculate. The other type of competitor, the one who likes to use their car, is at a disadvantage when it comes to the Concours marking, but they get their pleasures from the usage.
Cars must pass through a gauntlet of 5 judging stations. First off, the underside, where cleanliness is a must, and points are deducted for oil or water leaks. Next, the eagle-eyed judges inspect the exterior, paying close attention to paintwork, chrome, and lights. Followed by interior and boot, where the condition of the upholstery, carpets, roof lining, and instrument panel come under close examination. The engine is next, where judges look closely at the mechanics and wiring, cleanliness again being an important factor. And finally, each car has to prove it's roadworthy. On the checklist are lights, horns, indicators, and windscreen wipers. Points are deducted should any of these not work perfectly. The car competition begins with Class 1, the utility vehicles. And this 1991 Peugeot 404 pickup was the very last of its kind to be assembled anywhere in the world at MVA workshops in Mombasa. Harry Thuku's 1972 Land Rover was originally used for fieldwork by the esteemed conservationist Dr. Richard Leakey. But by the time it fell into Harry's hands, it was in a dismal state, needing a complete overhaul. This 1990 Land Rover, entered by Jazz Cruisers Limited, scored a fantastic 56 points out of 60 for its engine, helping it to first position in its class. Class 2, cars and station wagons up to 1000 cc, was dominated by Austin Minis and Morris Minors. Bernard Githinji's 1972 Austin Mini looks impressive at first glance. But the judges thought otherwise, and it only scores 179 points. Concours veteran Paul Chemgren has had a definite battle on his hands to get his two entries, a 1960 VW Common Gear and a 1960 Morris Minor, ready for the big day. Only 6 weeks ago, he had a long road ahead of him.
When I found this car, we were in a junkyard and it was all rotten on one side. But I fixed that and that took a lot of time in welding.
What is amazing with this Concours, always you do things until the last hour, you find everything's okay. The next day, you have problems, I don't know. So this time I want to have 1 week just to make sure everything is fine.
You don't run them around. What happens is during the show, you start oil leakages all over the place and it happens. Or the car will not start.
And unfortunately for Paul, this year proves to be no different.
I damaged my moldings today because of rushing. I just stepped on them. Just a fraction of a second and that's all gone.
But how much will that cost him with the judges? As his 1960 Common Gear descends the total quartz inspection ramp, he's about to find out. And it proves to be a devastating blunder as he loses a massive 48 points on the exterior.
So that's where they keep the engine.
But in the end, both his Common Gear and Morris Minor achieve an impressive second in their respective classes. Another Morris Minor on show made in 1954 is that of Karatina dairy farmer Maina Mudhuma. It doesn't start well, needing a helping hand up the ramp, but it cruises through the rest of the judging stations and ends up ranking third in its class. VW Beetles made between 1952 to 1958 were in strong attendance for Class 3. Touring cars and station wagons from 1001cc to 1300cc. But it would be this 4 times Concours winner entered by Phoenix Aviation who would top them all to win the class. Over in the bike paddock, there's an array of motorbikes waiting to be given the once-over by the judges.
This is a Moto Guzzi GTS 1936.
Honda Shadow 1100cc C3 they call it. A 1936 AJS 500cc side valve.
Bikes have to be ridden between 4 judging stations, the first being the external finish, where paintwork, chrome, lights, wheels, and instruments come under inspection. The second judging station looks at engine and mechanical components, where oil and water leaks mean a definite loss of points. Saddles, carriers, fairings, battery, and tool compartments are assessed at the third station. And finally, at the fourth station, the bikes are checked for roadworthiness.
Thank you.
First-time entrant Milan Shah is definitely a cool customer. Having entered the Concours for a bet, he wasn't fazed at all when only 5 weeks before the competition, he was still trying to track down parts for his 1975 Yamaha GT80.
Problems is I can't find any spare parts. The rear suspension, they've totally leaked out. The new ones are not available, so I don't know what I'm going to do there. Might have to take it to Concours without a front tire. Fingers crossed I get a tire. This exhaust, I was walking around in a scrapyard one day and something just caught my eye. What is that? It's the exhaust of a bike, and I walked to it and I picked up an actual clean exhaust for this bike. That was made for this bike. Not rusted, not dented, and yeah. I'm really proud of it. How does that look?
Looking good, Milan, but what will the judges think? And it seems that they agree, as he gets high points at both the engine and trim judging stations. But it's the flaws on his external finish that let him down. He'll have to wait and see if it's good enough for a place. This radically designed three-wheeler entered by Minuteman Auto World Limited is powered by a rear-mounted Volkswagen engine and has a streamlined fairing engine reaching forward to a motorcycle front wheel.
This one is made from so many parts. The taillights are from Ford Escort, the front wheel is from Honda Goldwing, and the wheels are like custom racing wheels. It's called Volkswagen Psycho. There's a little sweat from the engine leak. It's not really leaking, but it hasn't been started for a long time. It has gone on at 650 miles, so that's the only thing I can be worried about. But the body, seats, everything should be perfect.
Each year, the Vintage Motorcycle Club of South Africa enter a wide range of bikes. This year, their main attractions are the debut of a 1936 AJS entered by Gavin Walton.
You can find fault with anything, no matter how perfect it is. So you've got to get to a point where you say, this is as good as it gets. And so yeah, well, let's see. Everybody, I'm sure, has that same fear.
Out of the 156 points on offer, the AJS was awarded an impressive 146, making it first in its class and third in the overall competition. Another first appearance at the Concours is this 1977 Ducati, owned by South African professional heavyweight boxer Bevan Beckman. But it loses a whopping 15 points for its external finish, leaving it second in its class and 10th overall. Every year, the Concours attracts more and more foreign entrants, and this year is no exception, with 23 entrants from other countries, 11 of whom are from outside the African continent.
Fantastic weather, great cars, couldn't get much better.
8 MG sports cars from Australia, accompanied by one from England and one from South Africa, took a break from their Cape to Cairo trip to stop in at the Concours.
We're basically doing Cape to Cairo, but the timetable was organised knowing this was on, so that we would be here.
Australian David Godwin took a respectable second place in the class for sports cars made before 1970. Peter Katey was third in the post-1970 sports car category. And British MG enthusiast Nigel Fowler brought his 1979 MGB GT home in third place in the up to 1800cc touring car class. Also featuring in that class is this brightly coloured 1999 Toyota Celica, owned by Vinay Shah.
Lots of wires hanging everywhere.
It scores a measly 8 points for the underside and only fares a little better at the other judging stations, getting highest points for interior and boot, but gets a perfect 6 for roadworthiness. The class winner is this stunning 1973 MGB GT, owned by Carl Plates, with a score of 263, helping it to 8th place in the overall competition. The lead changes hands several times throughout the day, but the current leader, this impressive 1972 Jaguar E-Type, owned by Matthias Kohler, will be hard to beat. Scoring an impressive 279 points and rendering the judges speechless at its pristine condition. But his biggest competition, 3 previous winners of the Concours, are still to be judged. They are last year's winner Deacon Wilcock with his 1934 Railtone.
We did a bit of work on the underneath where we lost some points last year, so you've got to find what the judges finger pointed you on and fix it. So anyway, we'll see.
Deacon's wife Julia with her 1952 MG TD.
I mean, there's a lot of competition here today, which is really nice to see. It's clear that people are beginning to take more interest. I think we've done our best. We've upgraded a bit on her, and I'm really very pleased with it. So let's see.
And Phoenix Aviation's 1928 Ford Tudor.
Oh, this is our third time entering it. We've won it twice with this car, and last year we came second with it, so we've done a few improvements this year. We changed some of the wings and some colour so it doesn't show up much, the scratches much and stuff, so it looks much better than it did last year.
Egyptian-born Magdi Riyad definitely likes a challenge. He never enters the same car twice, but this year it looks like a pretty tall order, as he's entered a 1953 Mercedes-Benz limousine, which needed a complete rebuild. And only a month before the competition, it was looking like an uphill struggle.
This actually I found it in St. Austin. It was a Mercedes dealer who they actually left this car for more than 25 years to be rotten in a yard like this. It actually took nearly 8 months to dismantle this car piece by piece and to remove all the rust.
1 month on and the Mercedes is gleaming.
I always hope for the best, and I always like to compete with my fellows here, and all of them are nice. Some of them are giving me a cigar today to see it.
And although there's no denying it's a beautiful car, its many downfalls are only too apparent for the judges. It gets its lowest points for the underside, scoring a meager 17. And is unable to prove itself roadworthy when it loses 3 points out of 6 for mechanical weaknesses, leaving it in a disappointing 55th place. Competing in the same class is Concours regular Gailing May.
5 or 6 years ago, I was able to get hold of this Alfa Romeo behind you, a 2600 Sprint, 2.6 litre Sprint, which was in a very neglected condition at the time, so it was a challenge to revive it or restore it to its original condition. But it's a 45-year-old car, so the biggest challenge, of course, is just getting spares for it in this day and age. But for the last 3 years or so, it's been in the Concours, 1 year after another. It does reasonably well. I reckon I'll probably do no better than last year. I reckon if I came 6th, I'd be really, really happy. If I came, so in the top 10 would be super. 6th, I'd be very, very happy.
And it doesn't disappoint. The underside gets a very impressive score of 37 out of 40. It does equally well at the engine and interior judging stations, scoring 57 out of 60 at both. Taking it to 6th place overall with a score of 267, making Gailing a very happy man. That eardrum-shattering sound marks the start of classes 10 and 11, the rally cars. Rally driver Ben Mushemi entered 3 cars into the post-1987 class, a 2000 Mitsubishi Evolution and 2 Subaru WRXs. But the class winner was this 1995 Subaru Impreza, belonging to Michel van Tongeren. In the pre-1987 class, it was Jazz Cruiser Limited's 1979 Range Rover, which revved itself to first place. Back at the bike competition, results are starting to be announced, and an ecstatic Milan is thrilled to find out he has come second in his class. Concours regular, the Uganda Bikers Association, has entered 8 giant trail and enduro motorcycles, which were ridden from Kampala to Nairobi. These include last year's winner Gianfranco Massetto and his Honda Varadero VTR 1000. And runner-up Williams Fowler with his 2004 BMW 1150 GS. Hoping to regain his winner's crown is Rick Agagliati.
My other Guzzi is the main one. The last year's winner was the red one, the GTC. So now there's 2 Guzzis. They'll be neck to neck. We'll see how it goes.
And it was a close race, but it was the 37 Guzzi which took top points. matching those of the oldest machine at the Concours, Sati Jabal's 1925 DKW. And although both bikes scored the winning 193 points, it was taken to a tiebreak, meaning that the elder of the two would take the crown. As the car competition starts to wind up, it's the turns of the last three big contenders to be judged. First up is Julia Wilcock with her 1952 MGTD. She scores the highest points for the underside with an almost perfect 38, but loses the most points on the exterior, leaving her with an overall score of 271, putting her in current second place. Keeping it all in the family is Julia's husband and last year's winner, Deacon Wilcock, with his 1934 Railtone. And it looks like his hard work on the underside has paid off, as he scores an impressive 37 out of 40. Only to be bettered by the score of the Hudson 8-cylinder engine, which only loses a single point. Overall, he scores an impressive 273 points, knocking wife Julia out of second place. And finally, it's the beautiful 1928 Ford Tudor from Phoenix Aviation, bettering the Railtone by 1 point for its underside and matching it for points on the engine. Its downfall is the exterior finish, where it loses 11 points. But it makes up for that loss by gaining a massive 44 points for age to score 275 points. Only 4 points shy of the newly crowned winner of the 2012 Concours d'Elegance, the 1972 E-Type Jag.
It is always an element of surprise in there because of the very old cars, which get a lot of bonus age points, and you never know how they do. But in terms of preparation, I think this car has reached the top, the maximum.
It was a fantastic day. From our side it went smoothly. All of our judges, we've got a very good team. Today's result shows just how good our judges have been. The Jag is a first-time winner. In the walk around you could see that there was a lot of work put into that car, a lot of time and effort, passion obviously, and I think a very deserved winner.
With the competition over, it's down to the Starehe Boys Marching Band to lead out all the competitors for the Grand Parade. The Commercial Bank of Africa's Chief Executive Officers, Jeremy Ngunze and Isaac Awundo, have the honor of presenting the trophies. Taking the prize for Most Elegant Car is Julia Wilcock with her beautiful 1952 MGTD. Ulf Eriksson's 2008 Harley-Davidson wins the Most Elegant Bike. And on the podium, overall winners Sati Jabal, and Matthias Kohler. Preparations are already underway for the Africa CBA Concours d'Elegance 2013, which will be held at the Ngong Racecourse on Sunday, September 29th.
Starting out, starting slow, dreaming big, watching you grow.